Okay, the honorary artist of the year is Dick Lehman. Thank you so much for joining me. And clay art is your specialty, and clay art has really been around for 400,000 years, right?
That's right.
And I love that you moved into this pieces of kind of the fossil. Really, it kind of brings it back to the original purpose of what clay art was.
Yeah, and it also acknowledges that sometimes we discover by failing. This whole process was discovered when I was doing American raku, and that's a process of heating things quickly, taking them out red hot, and putting them in combustible materials.
Okay.
I did that with a Canadian potter, and we said, look, we've got this many pieces, this few days, we're going to get them all done, right?
Yeah.
Well, tempt fate, what happens? We had a tornado. Tornado touched down about 1 mile away. The
Oh my
resulting
goodness.
winds blew the hot pot down a hill into some grasses, and the metal cover, a block away. Phil went after the cover. I retrieved the pot. We covered it. We sat there holding it down in the rain. But when it cooled, there were images of the grasses and pots that it had landed in. And that was the beginning of an idea that started me on this sagger
Wait, is this the
firing.
pot that was in the tornado?
This is not the pot.
I was going to say,
But
do you have that one on display in your home?
Yeah. So it allows me to create kind of fast fossils. We had some
What a cool idea.
We had some folks from Notre Dame stop by. They were at a conference, and they said, "Now, what are you doing here?" And I explained the process. I said, "Let me tell you what you're really doing. You're making fast fossils. The vegetation is turning to activated charcoal. It's releasing a film of carbon, and you're collecting the film of carbon in the form of an image in the pot." And so this is something I've done for the last 35 years, and I come back to it occasionally. I have just 3, but these will be coming with me to the show.
They will be available. I love that. How long have you been doing clay art?
Since the 1976.
76, so a long time you've
Yeah.
been doing it. You've really mastered it. And I love that you have created so many unique concepts from that time.
Well, I would say not mastered, because the process itself keeps leading me to new things.
Okay.
I mean, one of the oldest ways of working with clay is wood firing.
Okay.
But I'm doing some long firings. I designed a kiln that I could fire for 15 days, 12 days by myself. And that was by building a huge firebox on the kiln and feeding it just 5 times a day.
Oh my gosh.
Filling it up. Breakfast, I ran home from lunch.
This is commitment.
Yeah, supper, before I went to bed, once during the night. And those pots, this was sitting on a crown of shells, so the drip that you see coming off the bottom was actually on the bottom. This is all the ash from the fuel. Different trees absorb different kind of soluble and unsoluble minerals through their enzyme work.
Yep.
And so this was a Chinese elm that gave this kind of ash on the piece.
Oh my gosh.
I used to do a lot of that. I don't have my own kiln anymore, so I work as a guest. But let me show you what the most recent work is.
All right, let's go see it. Now these are eye-catching. I mean, this draws you in, your artwork here.
So these pieces have 3 glazes on them.
Let me hold one.
And I was very interested to see what an accumulation of more than one glaze on a pot might do. Of course, more is better for me.
Can never say too much, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I started out with less is more.
Which I assume many artists start with that kind of concept,
Then
right?
I tried more with less.
Okay.
And now I'm just saying more is more.
More is more. I love it. I love that concept.
So these pots have as many as 10 different glazes on them. And I'm relearning to see beauty. I think this is some of my best work.
I think
But
it's incredible.
as a student, my professor might have said, "Oh, you have a crawling problem. You need to fix that." To
Now,
my
is
way
this-
of thinking, this is really lovely.
Did you add that, or that's part of the process?
That's part of the process. I have a glaze that will start to pull apart before it melts. And I use that intentionally. So I'm actually designing glazes to do these things that I was taught I should never do. But in that, I think, is where you can see new beauty. I hope that the folks who come to the art fair will bring a new set of eyes
I'm
and
sure they
set
will.
aside all their assumptions about beauty and approach these things as a way of being introduced to beauty in a way that they may never have seen before.
I love that. Now, when you're putting them into the kiln, because I see over here you have some pots that are ready to go in.
Yes.
And they look perfectly shaped,
Yeah.
perfectly smooth.
Right.
So how does that transfer into what we see here on your shelves?
Well, a perfectly smooth pot would have been like this, but the accumulation of all those glazes creates a thickness and actually a weight that you might not initially expect. Other pots, I'm actually purposely altering so that they have places for the glaze to catch.
Yep.
So these go in looking this altered form, but really covered with many, many glazes.
To make something new.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So you've been doing this a long time. Talk to us about, watching the up and rising clay artists coming into these roles. What kind of lesson might you offer to them?
Well, make a lot of pots because it's in the making that you discover, and the clay will lead you into some new work. I was just speaking with a clay artist this morning, came over for coffee. He said, I'm trying cone 3 wood firing, but it's a lot of losses, and what I have to focus on is that piece in the back that cracked. I need to pick it up, and I say, oh, look what happened here. If I could make that happen all over the pot, that's kind of what has happened here. From triple glazing, what would happen if I put more than 3 glazes on? So now some of these have up to 10, and I just keep making discoveries. I feel like my own visual literacy is being expanded by the work itself, and that's an exciting place to be.
It is. And you're pulling from your experiences as well,
Yeah,
right?
exactly
Where
right.
have you done a lot of your training?
A lot of it stateside, but I've had a significant amount of time in Japan working, exhibiting, and learning from the clay artists in Japan.
Well, we're learning how beautiful your art is. I'm so glad that you are, honored this year. Just wonderful stuff. I have to ask you one more question. Is it usable? Can I use the coffee
Absolutely.
cup to
Everything.
drink coffee with?
Everything is fully functional. If you want to put it in the dishwasher, you may, and it's going to be just fine.
You sold me on that one. All right. Thank you, Dick, so much.
Yeah,
Make
pleasure.
sure you head over to For the Love of Art Fair so you can purchase and see some of his beautiful pieces.